Chapter 601 Trapped to Kill an Ultimate Douluo. It was already afternoon. The sun was moving towards the west, but it was still shining very brightly. She chose to enter the palace at this time to express her sincerity. In fact, for an evil soul master like her, noontime did affect her, although it wasn't too big, did it? Deafening alarms rang throughout the entire palace without any warning. Yi Shishui suddenly stopped in her tracks. Her eyes turned cold. She knew what she was going to face next. Shu Tianran was still not going to let her off. She had given him such a good opportunity, perhaps even the last opportunity. However, he still made that choice. Shu Tianran, very good, very good. I really want to see what you can do to keep me here. As she smiled, Yi Shishui pointed her right hand to the sky and stood in Paltze without moving. Behind her, a blood-red projection had already silently surfaced. It was her martial soul, the blood soul demon puppet. A strong wave of spiritual pressure spread from Yi Shishui's body. All infrastructure within a 100-meter radius of her was instantly crushed. Very quickly, a massive plot of empty land was formed. Since they were already completely at odds, there was no need for Yi Shishui to show any mercy. At this moment, 4 strong beams of light shot into the sky. These 4 beams of light were presented as a rainbow glow. When they rose into the sky, they quickly gathered towards the center before turning into a huge dome that completely engulfed the imperial palace within it. Suddenly, a dazzling rainbow glow covered the imperial palace. It was as if a beam of divine light had descended. It was a magical feeling, but Yi Shishui's expression suddenly changed. As a class 9 soul engineer, her understanding of soul tools was very deep, even though she didn't make her name producing soul tools. Moreover, this beam of light was very familiar. How could she not recognize high-energy compression array soul tools? Precisely because she recognized them. She was aware of how terrifying they could be. They were capable of protecting an entire city. No matter how strong a person was, he was still human. When it came to Yi Shishui's standard, she could even guess that a god had limited strength. It was just beyond the standard of humans. However, the strength of high-energy compression array soul tools could be increased without limits. Of course, perhaps this world might be destroyed if their strength was increased to a stage where even the ground couldn't take it anymore. Theoretically, it was unlimited. Perhaps that might not manifest itself in reality, but it was certainly enough to deal with an ultimate Douluo. Figures started to appear from within the imperial palace. There were pitch black human-shaped soul tools and terrifying pressure, and immense soul power undulations started to spread. The Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion. It was the thumb of the hand that protects the nation. It was truly powerful. Apart from them, many soul engineers also rose into the sky along the perimeter of the palace. The Imperial Dragon, Evil Eye Tyrant and Fire Phoenix Soul Engineer Legions were all here. More than 2,000 advanced tier soul engineers had gathered within the imperial palace. An elder was drifting in midair at the centermost area of the palace. He was glaring at Yi Shishui. Kong. Da. Ming. Yi Shishui shouted one word by one word. Kong Denning stared at her coldly. Elder Yi, I knew that we'd fight one day. I just didn't think it would be so soon. Yi Shishui laughed. Her laughter was shrill, and hurt everyone's ears when they heard it. Yes, I've actually expected such a day to come. I just didn't expect Shu Tianran to completely ignore our past eyes. Hey. It's not that I'm ignoring our past eyes. It's just that we have no past eyes to talk about. All these years, how many civilians have the Holy Ghost Church cruelly murdered? This time, you even attacked the army, hurting the morale of my soldiers. We could have succeeded in one shot, but they had no choice but to return to the capital because of your attack. Elder Yi, do you know how many losses the Holy Ghost Church has brought to the Empire? I don't care about our past eyes. Then, let me ask you, where were you and your church when Douluo was in the capital trying to kill me? I believe you wished I had died then. A chaotic empire is more beneficial for you, am I right? Shu Tianran was in a golden yellow human-shaped soul tool as he drifted in midair. Around him were at least 10 class 9 soul engineers. Zhu Zi was half a step behind him. Yi Shishui's smile didn't disappear. If you want to condemn us, you can find any excuse to. Moreover, we can't even explain ourselves clearly even if all these dirty deeds have been blamed on us. Given our reputation, War God Empress, your ploy is indeed brilliant. I just don't know one thing. When has the Holy Ghost Church offended you? She didn't look at Shu Tianran, but turned her attention to Zhu Zi. Zhu Zi said, the Holy Ghost Church didn't offend me. You offended my army, my citizens and the peace of my empire. Evil cannot exist in an empire that's going to dominate the continent. No matter what reason you give, it's no longer important whether the Holy Ghost Church is the one that attacked the empire. More importantly, the Holy Ghost Church has to disappear from this world forever. It must not exist anymore. Yi Shishui was enlightened. It seems like your majesty still wants to doom the church. I understand. What a strong formation. The father of soul tools, Kong Denning, is here. There are also many familiar faces and soul engineers. Just to deal with me. It seems like your majesty still regards me very importantly. I'm grateful. The only question is, can all of you keep me here today? If I leave today, I'll destroy one city every month, and use more avenging spirits to strengthen myself. I'll do this until the empire is completely wiped out. While she was smiling as she said all this, no one thought that she was bluffing. This was the scariest thing. The terrifying part wasn't the fact that she was being hysterical. The terrifying part was that there was a hint of rationality even though she was being hysterical. Shu Tianran's expression changed greatly. If Yi Shishui really escaped today, a disaster would befall the empire. In his heart, he slightly regretted his decision. After all, she was an ultimate Douluo. Even if he couldn't use her, she shouldn't have become his enemy. The consequences were really unthinkable. However, since things were already like this, there was no room for regret. No matter what, the plan had to proceed. Moreover, Shu Tianran also didn't think that she had a chance of survival. The Sun Moon Empire paid a huge price to set up this trap. The protective barrier formed by the 4 high-energy compression array soul tools was so that Yi Shishui couldn't flee. It was also used to keep Long Xiaoyao from coming to save her. They had even considered Long Xiaoyao's mentality when they came up with this plan. After all, he wasn't an evil soul master. He had his own bottom line. No matter what, he wouldn't lay his hands on ordinary citizens given his current status. As for how he would take revenge after Yi Shishui was killed, that was another matter. Zhu Zi had informed him that Long Xiaoyao was hurt quite badly after the clash at the mountain valley. This was why this was a very rare opportunity that couldn't be missed. Kong Denning sighed and said, Yi Shishui, just from your words now, you deserve to die. Today, I'll restore justice on behalf of the heavens. I'll destroy your blood soul demon puppet. As he spoke, Kong Denning raised his hands towards Yi Shishui. A beam of golden light shot out. Yi Shishui snorted coldly. She lifted her hand too and pointed at Kong Denning, and a beam of blood red light shot towards him. Terrifying soul power undulations rose from the outer perimeter. The soul engineers were accumulating their power against the death god Douluo. They had to give their all. This was why they had to use whatever strength they had. When the blood red light was 5 meters from Kong Denning, it was blocked by a layer of golden light. The cries of countless avenging spirits echoed across the sky, but the golden light was not breached at all. The beam of golden light unleashed by Kong Denning turned into a golden halo when it was 5 meters from Yi Shishui, and was about to wrap itself around her. Yi Shishui's body suddenly turned illusory. In a flash, she escaped from the halo. The halo landed on the ground and disappeared without a trace. Yi Shishui's shrill laughter resonated throughout the entire palace. The blood soul demon puppet behind her shone brightly, and streaks of immense bloody lights were unleashed. They turned into giant avenging spirits in the air that rushed in all directions. Every avenging spirit was about the size of a human head. There were 12 of them. Once they appeared, a bloody rain seemed to strike the entire palace. Blood soul spell. This was the ultimate technique Yi Shishui was famous for. Every blood soul that she cultivated using this spell had been cultivated for centuries. 10,000 avenging spirits devoured one another, and the remaining survivor became a blood soul. This blood soul even had to feed on avenging spirits for a long time to become stronger. When a blood soul just formed, it was only the size of a fingernail. How long did it take for a blood soul to reach the size of a human head? Not only did it have to devour avenging spirits, but it even had to devour the avenging spirit of a powerful individual. The stronger an avenging spirit was, the faster a blood soul would grow. Once such blood souls acted up, their vengeance would cause one soul to lose control. Those whose cultivation wasn't strong enough might even experience their souls being drawn out from their bodies before being devoured. These blood souls were both domineering and vicious. The fight had only just started, but Yi Shishui had already unleashed her strongest skill. This showed that she was prepared to risk her life. Kong Denning turned serious when he saw the blood souls. One person to one. We must seal them and not let them escape. As he spoke, he lifted his hands. They each fired a beam of golden light, trapping 2 blood souls. The 10 class 9 soul engineers around Shu Tianran quickly scattered. They each unleashed their greatest skills to control one blood soul. Yi Shishui laughed coldly. Bloody lights shone brightly in her eyes. Suddenly, her long hair turned blood red. Her blood soul demon puppet surged into her body and fused with her. Suddenly, she grew twice as large. The clear and transparent blood red on her body made her seem as if she was carved from a ruby. Bloody air currents surged in the air and spread instantly. Boundless blood sea. Yi Shishui screamed. The surrounding buildings were instantly vaporized when they were touched by the boundless blood sea, which began spreading outward. No wonder she was an ultimate Douluo and the strongest evil soul master in the Holy Ghost Church. Even in such a disadvantageous situation, she still managed to resist all the soul engineers around her. How confident was she? Shu Tianran roared furiously. There was a wand in his hand, which was only a few centimeters long. There was a rainbow gem the size of a fist on it. He lifted this wand and pointed it at Yi Shishui. Suddenly, a rainbow beam of light descended from the sky, striking towards Yi Shishui. This was the strength of a high-energy compression array soul tool. He had used the 4 compression array soul tools to protect the people of the Sun Moon Empire before. This time, he used this small compression array soul tool to attack. Yi Shishui didn't dodge. In fact, she couldn't dodge at all. She made a lifting gesture. Suddenly, the blood sea surged upward and turned into a huge shield. It blocked the descending rainbow beam of light. Boom. A tremendous boom sounded. A powerful shockwave immediately spread. The 11 Class 9 Soul Engineers immediately unleashed protective soul barriers. Along with the barrier unleashed by the Soul Engineers from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion, they managed to block this shockwave and prevent it from spreading further. The terrifying explosion had just ended when a series of booms were continuously heard. The blood sea flipped and forcefully resisted the attack of the rainbow beam of light. However, those who were sharp could tell that the blood sea was shrinking. It was becoming smaller under the attack of the high-energy compression array soul tools. A grin appeared on Shu Tianran's face. Even an ultimate Douluo stood no chance against high-energy compression array soul tools. Today, he was relying mostly on the compression array soul tools. The Soul Engineer's main job was to protect him and the Imperial Palace. This plan to kill was considered a first test. Once it was a success, they would invest much more money into the research of high-energy compression array soul tools. Yi Shishui was completely unaware that the Sun Moon Empire had already pumped much more money into their research of high-energy compression array soul tools than any other research. Kong Deming was leading the research, while 7 Class 9 Soul Engineers formed the core members of the research team. The amount of resources and money that were drained couldn't be properly measured. This was the strength of soul tool technology. Yi Shishui's figure suddenly appeared in midair. She was still blood red. Kong Deming instantly shifted in front of her, blocking her. They clashed. Kong Deming was flung out, his entire body shining with golden light, while Yi Shishui returned to the sky. Countless streaks of lights were aimed at her. The linked attacks were about to be unleashed. The linked attacks of the other 3 Beast Lord ranked Soul Engineer Legions were still fine. The most terrifying one was the one that came from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion. It was a pitch black soul ray, as thick as a water vat. Wherever it passed, deep cracks would be left in the air that couldn't be mended. Even Yi Shishui's expression changed slightly when she sensed the power of this soul ray. It was not weaker than the attack fired by a compression array soul tool. The Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion is actually so strong. No wonder Shu Tianran dares to lay his hands on me. Thinking about it was one thing, dealing with it was another. Red lights flashed, and 3 blood souls broke free from their restraints. They each blocked one linked attack from each of the 3 Beast Lord ranked Soul Engineer Legions. Those 3 blood souls cried out tragically, but the 3 linked attacks were resisted, and Yi Shishui directly resisted the attack from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion herself. She was hit. Shu Tianran was delighted. He was fully aware of how powerful the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion's linked attack was. It couldn't be resisted by a human. Even an ultimate Douluo couldn't do so. If Kong Deming was to appraise it, he would even claim that a Class 10 Soul Engineer wouldn't be able to block such an attack. If even an ultimate Douluo was helpless, perhaps only a god could possibly resist it. Was Yi Shishui dead? The bloody light dissipated, scattered and vanished in the air. No traces were left. Yi Shishui didn't even scream. But, was she really dead? Be careful. She's not dead. Kong Deming suddenly shouted. Following this, a blood soul that was originally restrained by a Class 9 Soul Engineer suddenly blew apart and turned into blood rain. Yi Shishui seemed to be reborn from this blood rain. She pressed her palm against the sky. That Class 9 Soul Engineer started to shine with countless streaks of light. They were activated protective barriers. However, a blood red palm print still appeared at the next moment. His entire chest collapsed. He spat out fresh blood and flew back. In the air, a blood soul separated from Yi Shishui's body and devoured the avenging spirit and soul that appeared after he died. Yi Shishui's body instantly shone brightly with blood red light. A strong wave of blood energy was sucked into her body. That Class 9 Soul Engineer turned into ash, scattering in the air. A terrifying pressure immediately rose, and intense bloody lights shone in the sky. A Class 9 Soul Engineer had died just like that. Furthermore, his strength also further boosted Yi Shishui's powers. This was the terrifying ability that an evil ultimate Douluo possessed. Even such an impressive linked attack couldn't kill her. She had even exploited the opportunity to kill a Class 9 Soul Engineer. However, Kong Deming noticed that there were only 11 blood souls now. Evidently, the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion's attack wasn't completely useless. A terrifying attack was unleashed next. A strong beam of light descended. A rainbow glow formed in the sky once again. It was the second attack of the compression array soul tools. Shu Tianran's face contorted a little. Just like how Yi Shishui didn't know he was this strong, he also didn't expect an ultimate Douluo to be so terrifying at full strength. When Yi Shishui was trapped in a life and death situation, she still managed to so easily kill a Class 9 Soul Engineer under him. Yi Shishui groaned, and her body instantly turned blood red. When that rainbow glow landed, her entire body turned into a bloody fog and disappeared once again. After this, another blood soul blew apart. Just like before, she smacked her palm against a Class 9 Soul Engineer's chest. It was as if she had smacked a piece of tofu. That Class 9 Soul Engineer was killed just like that. His blood energy and soul were devoured. Although there was one less blood soul because of this, Yi Shishui's aura became stronger than before. What kind of special spell is this? Why is it so terrifying? Even though she has fewer and fewer blood souls, it's as if she's accumulating her power. This was terrifying, as no one could see where her limit was. Force the blood souls away. Force them in. Attack. Kong Deming commanded loudly. No one knew Yi Shishui's weak spot. They could only give it a go. From the start, he didn't think that they could easily kill an ultimate Douluo. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made such heavy preparations. Right now, they could only try to prolong the fight. It was only this way that they could tire her out. Yi Shishui snorted coldly, and her body suddenly turned into countless blood projections, which swept out in all directions instantly. The Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion, which was about to unleash their linked attack, lost their target instantly. It was almost impossible to lock onto her now. However, their many layers of linked defensive barriers were still very effective. They managed to block the invasion of the bloody lights. The Class 9 Soul Engineers within the barriers also took this opportunity to retreat to the edges of the barriers. As the bloody lights dissipated and Yi Shishui reappeared, the barriers shrank in. This was a unified move performed by the remaining Class 9 Soul Engineers under Kong Deming. As immense pressure squeezed in, a frightening power rose. The Class 9 Soul Engineers instantly shifted. They moved to the outer perimeter just as the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion retracted their linked defense. The original plan was to kill Yi Shishui in one move. Now that they couldn't do that anymore, they could only slowly drain her using their overall power. This was the backup plan. In this backup plan, the most important thing to do was to help everyone retreat. 2 Class 9 Soul Engineers were already dead. This was something the Sun Moon Empire couldn't accept. Veins were already visible on Shu Tianran's forehead. If not for fear that the high-energy compression array soul tools would overheat, he would have attacked relentlessly by now. Yi Shishui drifted in midair and revealed a scornful look on her face. There were still 10 blood souls surrounding her, the avenging spirits of 2 Class 9 Soul Engineers. Great stuff. However, Soul Engineers will only be Soul Engineers. The strength of their souls is still far from a true title Douluo. It's a pity. As she spoke, she shook her head and sighed. The Soul Engineers watching her were furious. Yi Shishui coldly looked at Shu Tianran. Continue attacking if you want to kill me. I'll see how much you're willing to sacrifice. It's a pity that you might not succeed. As she spoke, she started to descend. She pressed her palm against the ground. Strong bloody lights spread along the ground. Deafening booms started to echo throughout the entire Imperial Palace. Shu Tianran and Kong Deming's expressions changed. They knew what Yi Shishui wanted. She couldn't overcome their aerial defense, and thus it was impossible for her to escape. However, even compression array soul tools couldn't cover the ground. Although the ground defenses in the palace were still very impressive, they weren't good enough. At least, they weren't good enough to stop an ultimate Douluo. The ground shook. The ground beneath Hua Yuao and Tang Wutong also shook at the same time. They were no longer in the store. They were on the streets. Just like many civilians, they saw the rainbow glow in the sky. Of course, the civilians didn't know what was happening. To them, it was very common for something like this to happen in the Sun Moon Empire. Soul tool technology was very widespread here. Hua Yuao furrowed his brow. From his perspective high up in the sky, he could see many things. However, his spiritual power couldn't enter the barrier formed by the compression array soul tools. He could only see what was going on inside. As the ground shook, he could roughly guess what Yi Shishui was doing. Yes, the ground might be her only route of escape. But had Shu Tianran really not prepared for this? It wasn't impossible to unleash a protective soul barrier underground, although it wasted a lot of time. Furthermore, it would be very difficult to control. Could it resist an ultimate Douluo? Tang Wutong turned her head to look at Hua Yuao. She asked, "Who do you hope will win this fight?" Shu Tianran. Hua Yuao answered without any hesitation. Tang Wutong was astonished. "Aren't you sympathetic of Elder Yi after listening to Long Xiaoyao's story earlier?" "I am," Hua Yuao replied, "but I'll still wish for Yi Shishui to be killed. There's no room for negotiation. Can you imagine it? What would happen if an enraged, evil ultimate Douluo escapes? Even though I don't like the Sun Moon Empire, I don't wish to see any innocent civilians killed. That's why Yi Shishui must die. If she really escapes, we must risk everything to kill her. Even though we'll incur Elder Long's wrath, we have to do so." Hua Yuao was very hard-headed with his words. He didn't hesitate at all. Tang Wutong nodded silently and said, "The fight has been going on for some time. Why hasn't anyone from the Holy Ghost Church come to assist Yi Shishui? Are they really so scared of death?" Hua Yuao shook his head and said, "No, this must be Yi Shishui's arrangement. It's easier for one person to escape. If the Holy Ghost Church is here, can they resist four soul engineer legions? They'll only send themselves to die. The Holy Ghost Church has suffered heavy losses recently. Yi Shishui must have had told them to leave first before she entered the palace herself. It's a pity. Up until now, we still don't know where their headquarters are. Otherwise, we could find many opportunities to make our move if we went over there now." At this moment, a beam of black light suddenly landed in front of Hua Yuao. He raised his hand and grabbed at that beam of light. It was a black piece of paper with words in some kind of white pigment. When he saw the words on it, Hua Yuao was astonished. He immediately held Tang Wutong's hand and turned around before leaving. Inside the palace, the ground only stopped shaking after a minute or so. A huge depression more than 100 meters deep had appeared. It was hollow beneath the palace. When Yi Shishui used her palm strike, an entire cave was immediately formed. Yi Shishui jumped down without any hesitation. Because of this, she paid the price of 2 blood souls. Even though there might be traps underground, the geography underground was confusing. She only had a chance to escape if she exploited this confusion. This was why she had to face any arrangements Shu Tianran had made underground. Shu Tianran sighed and softly shook his head after Yi Shishui escaped underground. After this, a sly smile surfaced on his face. As he waved, the rainbow glow in the sky suddenly scattered. Immediately, he flew towards the sky with Juzi. It wasn't just him. Kong Deming, the Class 9 Soul Engineers and the 4 Soul Engineer Legions all rose up. A black figure appeared in the sky. It jumped into the palace without any hesitation. A low-pitched dragon roar sounded immediately after this. Shu Tianran clearly noticed this black figure, but he didn't stop anyone from letting the figure enter. Instead, a wider smile surfaced on his face. The rainbow glow shone once again. The 4 high-energy compression array soul tools unleashed stronger beams of light compared to before. This time, even the underground of the palace was covered in a rainbow glow. Boom! A boom resonated underground. A beam of light lit up. Yi Shishui was flung into the air by this beam of light. She didn't manage to escape after all. Shu Tianran laughed. "Yi Shishui, you must not have expected this. I sacrificed my palace to deal with you. I'm clearly aware of the price to pay to kill you. I drained you to force you to take risks. Otherwise, what if you had some other special ability? That's why this will be your grave. You must not have guessed the true purpose of my 4 compression array soul tools. They're going to be your coffin. This is to protect Radiant City and prevent the collapse of the palace from affecting anything in the city. It's just that I didn't expect Long Xiaoyao to be so attached to you. This is the best ending. Goodbye, Death God Douluo. Go and find your Death God and the Dragon God Douluo. This is great." As he spoke, Shu Tianran pressed a button at the bottom of his staff. The entire palace shook a little. Following this, an orange-red glow was unleashed from underground. This glow was very weak at the start. It only appeared from the slits. However, the slits soon became bigger and bigger. The glow also became bigger and bigger. The orange-red glow and the rainbow glow of the compression array soul tools intersected. Slight quaking sounds rumbled. It was important to know that this was even after there were compression array soul tools to protect the city. How terrifying must the quaking be to generate this? Hua Yuao and Tang Wutong weren't even out of Radiant City yet, but they turned around at almost the same time. What they saw was only a huge orange-red ball light rising from the Imperial Palace. Hua Yuao instantly turned pale. Vicious. Shu Tianran is really vicious. He used his palace to deal with the Death God Douluo. I wonder how Elder Long is. Let's go back. Hua Yuao pulled Tang Wutong and ran back without any hesitation. Long Xiaoyao's condition was unknown, but Yi Shishui was definitely doomed. This was Shu Tianran's killing blow. He must have been very confident. Right now, Hua Yuao's train of thought was completely clear. He finally understood how Shu Tianran had managed to trick Yi Shishui. The Imperial Palace was a complete trap. Class 9 stationary soul cannon shells must have been installed inside the palace. As for how many of them there were, he was unsure. However, there was definitely more than 1 or 2 if they wanted to kill an ultimate Douluo. From the start until the end, the compression array soul tools were a bluff. Yi Shishui's attention was drawn to what they were capable of. They were indeed very strong. However, they were almost invincible when it came to defending. When they were used to attack, it did seem that they were still rather flawed. However, Shu Tianran used them to defend. At the same time, the explosion was made even more destructive as it was confined. The Death God Douluo was most certainly dead. No wonder he had such a strong sense of crisis when he got close to the Imperial Palace. If he and Tang Wutong were in the palace, they would have been doomed too. Even if they could escape in time, they would still be encircled by the Sun Moon Empire. This proved that his senses were very accurate. Not entering the palace saved both him and Tang Wutong. The orange-red glow was getting stronger and stronger. Even the glow from the sun couldn't compare to it. If one watched from above, he would notice that there was an extra sun at the core of Radiant City. It was a sun that was flashing with an intense red glow. This sun was dazzling, but it was filled with death. Shu Tianran had already flown up high. Even though his plan was foolproof, and the soul tools were capable of withstanding the explosion, he still flew up high. There was no harm for him to be cautious, and this was something he did very well. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.